Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michael, and today I want to talk about my top 10 favorite films of the year. And I created a list on Letterboxd where I put all the movies that I saw that were released in 2019 in that list. And maybe I did this wrong. Maybe I should have put every new movie that I watched in 2019 in the list to see what my top movies were. So this is a list of stuff that was released in Australia, particularly in my town, that were released in 2019 that I saw in the cinema. And I'm just going to go through the top 10. The reason why I say this is because the number one spot in most places around the world it was released last year. But unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to be able to see this film until January this year. So it's on my list, but if we were going by release date, it would have been on last year's list. So I'm just going to start with number 10. And at number 10, I'm going with Late Night. And this is starring Emma Thompson and Mindy Kaling. This is different to a lot of the movies on this list, but I really enjoyed it. I love Emma Thompson. I think it was just a fun, interesting movie about a late night talk show host and her struggle to try and be relevant and her struggle with scandal and her struggle with being a woman in a male dominated industry. And I think it was such an interesting story. And while it's probably not the best, I think I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's definitely one worth checking out, not for its amazing cinematic experience, but because it's nice to see something explore a male dominated world as a woman and seeing how that plays out on screen. And number nine is Ryan Johnson's latest movie. This is Knives Out. While the story felt a little predictable and you kind of guess where things are going, I think Ryan Johnson did a beautiful job of weaving the narrative in different ways. And even if you could guess who the murderer was from the very start, he's still taking you on a journey that was exciting and fun to watch. This is a brilliant cast of characters. There's some amazing actors in this movie, and I really appreciate Ryan Johnson's style. I think he likes to take these well told styles and well told genres and try to create something new and interesting in it. Like with Knives Out, he's got a murder mystery thing happening. In Looper, he does this time traveling science fiction genre in a way which explores one character in an interesting way. And Brick, which is my favorite, is a neo noir detective type story told in a high school setting. So I really appreciate his style. And number eight is a movie that may be higher for a lot of people, but I've seen so many great movies. I think this is an amazing movie too. This is Portrait of a Lady on Fire, directed by Celine Sciamma. And this is a beautiful story of classes and a friendship of developing with these two people from a different social background. And it's such a touching movie story. I think the way it was shot is interesting. This way they told the story was definitely interesting as well. And it's such a pleasure to sit through and watch this film. I don't feel like I can talk too much about it because I feel like I need to rewatch it. I need to sit down and watch it again before trying to review it because I only saw it at the cinema at a film festival, and I don't think I'm skilled enough to be able to pick it apart as well as I would like to yet. But that's why I'm trying to do more film related stuff, is to develop that skill. At number seven, I went with Never Look Away, and this is a German movie about an artist. And this artist is said to be based on another artist, but they've changed his name. They've done so they could do a fictionalized story. So let's say it's loosely based on another person's life. You experience this person as they're growing up and all the tragedy that happened through World War II. And you see this man and this artist develop his style and develop and try and understand himself in this world. And it's a really long movie. It's so long. It's about 3.5 hours, I think. But what I really appreciated is seeing that progression, seeing how the world has shaped this man and seeing how he struggles to find his voice as an artist and struggles to come up with a style that's his self-expression. And it's such a stunning movie. It really goes into the political climate of Germany from the Nazis to the Russian occupation. And there is so much going on in the background of it. What I really appreciated about this film is just the way it focused on finding his own voice, finding his own style, and finding how he wants to communicate to the world his artistic expression. That's why this film has made my list, and I do recommend it. Next is The Third Wife. This is a Korean film by Ash Mayfair, and it tells the story of a wealthy landowner and him taking this third wife. And we see this woman she's 14 and so she's still trying to understand her own life, let alone her life as a married woman. And it's this stunning cinematography that has just captivated me with the landscape and the way you use kind of filters to capture light and colour that I really appreciate. And what's interesting about the story is the 14-year-old is actually played by a 14-year-old, and she's done this amazing job of feeling like awkward and unsure of herself and what she is and who she is and what her role is in this family. And there are scenes which get really uncomfortable, and thankfully they don't push it too far. But I feel like if I had a 14-year-old daughter, I don't feel comfortable letting her shoot these type of scenes. I think it kind of added to the artistic style and the atmosphere and the film itself. And I think the end result speaks for itself. It's just this mesmerizing story of girl and just what her life would have been like. At number 5, I went with an Australian film called Top End Wedding. The reason why I probably put this film up higher than any other film of this type is because we are seeing this story of an Aboriginal family living in the Northern Territory and trying to prepare for this wedding and the dramas that are going on in it. And I think it's important to have these kind of movies because we don't get enough. We don't see enough of what it's like to be in an Aboriginal family. We don't get to see their cultural experiences enough. And I think having a movie like this is a great insight for us to be able to explore some issues that are unique to them and also issues that are universal. And it's a wonderful movie. It's kind of sweet, kind of beautiful to see it all come together, ending in this marriage. But I think just to experience that feeling of what it might be like to be part of an Aboriginal culture was definitely what I took away from the film. At number 4, I went with Farewell, and this is the Chinese movie about the grandma dying, and the family comes over from America to say their goodbyes. This is starring Awkwafina as the granddaughter, but I think the grandmother was probably the standout character in this film. This is her first film, and she did an amazing job, and I'm struggling to talk about it, but it's such an amazing film to just experience their life and to see all this family come together and celebrate this woman that they think is dying and to say their goodbyes to her, and this idea that they're not going to tell her that she's dying because they want her to enjoy the rest of her life. and not have to worry about death and not have to worry about any of those thoughts that may come with knowing that you're going to die anytime soon, and just let her enjoy her time with her family before she passes away. The way they decide not to tell her seems strange to us, but it makes sense to them, and it makes for a fantastic exploration into family and the dynamic between the grandmother and the children that have all moved away now and coming back to see her. At number three, I'm going to go with Ari Aster's Midsommar, and this is a film I'm planning to review soon, so hopefully I'll get one out. Florence Pugh is such an amazing actress. I think she is brilliant in everything I've seen her in. I highly recommend her in Lady Macbeth if you've not checked her out. And I think she's going to be one of the greats. I think she did an amazing job. And this is a story of these Americans that go to this weird Swedish commune and experience their weird traditions, kind of like what I've talked about with Death in Spring by Mercer Rodarua. It's just so strange and like foreign, and their cultural practices don't make sense to these Americans. There is a lot more going on in this film. It's so complex and so layered that just talking about this film in a short period of time doesn't really do it justice. But it's a folk horror type film. It's not dark and gritty. It's like really bright and vibrant, but still so tense to watch, and an amazing film. At number two, I went with Booksmart, and I think this is an interesting directorial debut from Olivia Wilde, but I think Caitlin Diver and Beanie Feldstein are these two great actresses that are going to go on to great things. And they have this real charisma and presence in the film, and just exploring their friendship. So the premise of the book Smart film is basically these two students are about to finish high school. They spent their entire life trying to get good grades, studying constantly, and keeping their sole focus on getting into a good university. And it's coming to the end of the school year. They find out that other students who have had fun have also gotten into good universities. So they decide that they need to have some fun. They need to experience life before university. And it kind of like turns into one of those high school party type films. But I think it's interesting to have the focus on these two women instead of always constantly having male dominated films. And I think it was interesting to have that perspective of these two women who are unsure of their identity and themselves, apart from being smart and studying well and doing well in school. So I think the movie came together and was a lot of fun to watch. And I think I'm losing my voice, so I need to start speeding this up a bit. The final movie at number one is the movie that probably came out last year for most people, and that was The Favourite. And I probably don't need to talk too much about this. This is the story of Queen Anne and the two women that tried to influence her and try and grab the power. This is a struggle for power and struggle for the favoritism of Queen Anne. And the three main characters, we've got Olivia Colman, Emma Stone, and Rachel Weisz, playing these three power-hungry characters, three wonderful characters, and these three actresses are just amazing to watch. And I won't talk too much about this film because I feel like I am losing my voice. Most people are probably aware of this film and why this is going to be at number one, and why this is something I'd recommend and feel like everyone should watch. It'll be interesting to see what my list looks like next year when I focus more on film than I have now. I can see a couple of films that don't feel very cinema worthy to be on the list, like Late Night or Top End Wedding or maybe Booksmart. Those films are fun, enjoyable films more than cinematic storytelling and beautiful film, beautiful cinematography. So be interested to see how much my taste and what makes my top 10 changes next year. I will leave it at that because my voice is really struggling now. If you want to find me elsewhere, all my links to social media are in the description below. Please like, subscribe to the channel if you want to know more about translations and more about world cinema. And let me know what some of your favourite films of the year are and what you thought about some of these films. I'm hoping to get a lot better at talking about films in the future. Obviously, I've got a lot of practice to do. So, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.